Good evening, everybody. So, what you're watching right here is once upon a time was a very beautiful country. The country's name was Venezuela. There was a lot of pros of living in Venezuela until there wasn't. Does it kind of remind you of something that's going on right now in the United States? Venezuela had beautiful beaches and had prosperity everywhere, people working hard, and then once upon a time it fell. And when it fell, when you went to the grocery stores, you could barely get the food that you needed. The shelves were pretty bare and empty. The crime rate escalated off the charts. Sounds kind of familiar to the United States. There was power outages all over the country, some lasting for days and weeks. Sporadic at first, until it wasn't. Until there was, well, week-long power outages. What happened is really is pretty shocking. What would happen in an apocalyptic blackout like what happened in Venezuela? I'm going to tell you a quick story at a hospital. Patients in Venezuela found out early that a 5-day nationwide blackout, well, all the lights went out. There was nothing the doctors could do, and almost total darkness broke only by the beam of a couple of torches and the glow from their mobile phones. The hospital staff watched helplessly as their patients began to die in front of them. And many patients died. Many people died. Because without the technology for such a simple surgery, for example, the doctors needed to save a woman that had a blood clot, and there was a mechanical ventilator, but in a power outage, there was no way for it to work. She had a blood clot in her lungs, a common but life threatening problem that can be treated with the right drugs and equipment. It was a situation being played out in the hospital, dotted all over Venezuela, in many, many places. And the neighborhoods began to fall. The neighborhoods became to get infested with crime, and so many people died and perished in Venezuela as the transition began to happen. The young kids are the ones that they had to worry about. They were stronger, they were faster, they could do pretty much anything they wanted, and they came and they took from people like you and me. Though it may be a little older or even a little slower. What would happen if the United States went completely black? What would happen if the kids, like we've seen in Chicago, started to come to your neighborhood? So many people that live in rural areas think it won't happen to them, that it won't occur. Pretty scary thought, isn't it? Streets went black. For some reason, strange people started to approach. People you really didn't know. As they hid their faces in the night to go out and perpetrate crimes. Maybe they're coming to your neighborhood when the lights go out. Maybe they'll be at your front door when you're not expecting them. And maybe it'll all fall apart. Everything we've ever thought about the United States is truly crumbling. And that, my friends, that is a very, very realistic picture of what's happening around the world. Not just in the United States, but countries like Germany and France because the New World Order, the Agenda 2030, all these great plans they have for us, the Great Reset, what's really happening is they want to dominate us in every aspect of our lives, everything we do. And if there was an apocalyptic blackout coast to coast, do you think that these people are not going to come to your door? Do you think that these people are not going to take what you have? Do you think that you're not going to be threatened? I have to say this honestly. Some people have been making comments in my videos and chats and stuff saying, well, it's not happening in rural America. What's not happening in rural America? It's happening across the states, from state to state, from coast to coast. It's happening. It's here. And there's no changing it. There's going to be more crime. There's going to be more shootings. And the thing is, honestly, folks, the kids are out of control. The generation that are in their 20s, they have no direction. They have no care in the world. They could care less if they slammed you into a wall or if they knocked your head over. They don't care. And when they don't have their video games, that's put them out in a. I really think that this video industry has put kids out of touch with reality and TV and movies and music, and the list goes on and on. But Miss Needle, not all are that way. What I'm saying is that they're stronger, they're quicker, they're faster. And when they come to your door, they're going to take what you got. They're going to take it without even thinking twice or without even blinking. And when everything goes black, do you think that people that are perpetrators are not going to come? They're going to come for your door. They're going to come for you. They're going to come for your loved ones. And they're going to come for the things they want. Or maybe just come for the fun of it. I mean, that's something really to think about, because if you've seen what happened in Chicago and you watch the video on OTWP Underground or on OTWP TV News, it was all fun and games. They could care less. They could care less about property. They could care less about people. They could care less about any of that. And then we have a special coming up on Wednesday night here, and we're going to talk in depth. Many of you know this about me, some of you don't. But for over 20 years, I worked in crime prevention. And what we did is we worked with schools where kids could call in and talk about crime without being a rat, to protect them from getting beat up, shot, stabbed, or whatever it may be. And that program is still in existence. It was completely anonymous. And people say, well, that you're teaching your kids to be rats. Our schools are out of control. It's pretty sad when you have to have a lock and a bell on your door for a parent to pick up their child. It's pretty sad when you are teaching your kids at school how to evade an active shooter. We have a serious breakdown in the United States. It's not going back, it's going forward. And going forward, folks, the crime rate is up to 1,100%. Not in just red states or blue states. We're talking in the United States, all over this country. And as what happened in Venezuela, Venezuela was a very, very rich country. It had so many pros for it, beautiful beaches and mountains, right? Gorgeous, rich, rich culture. And then it started struggling with government breakdowns. Does it sound familiar? Crime rates. See, living in Venezuela can be challenging but rewarding. The thing is now Americans are told not to even go. See, the good thing about Venezuela is it's extremely low cost to live there. Roughly 40% lower than the United States national average. Housing and rental prices are so cheap, like roughly $400 a month. Utilities are affordable. Not in the United States right now. The weather is warm all year round. Beautiful, right? Near just above the equator. That means you get tropical, gorgeous climate. And they have the mountains. Education is good, right? Very good, actually. They boast about their high literacy rates, actually better than the United States. The food is delicious, and it's a diverse mixture of Indian African cultures, and they have that Caribbean influence to them. Venezuela food, from what I understand, I really have never got into it. I heard it's absolutely delicious. The scenery stunning. It sounds like the United States, and the ecosystem very diverse. But the cons of living in Venezuela seems like it's almost the cons of living in the United States. It's dangerous. It's so dangerous because they have political instability, police corruption, lack of gun control, a dismantled legal system, and the list goes on and on. The crime index is 83.7%, highest on the planet. The U.S. Department of State actually recommends that Americans never go there, and that's been in place since 2022. And then you have food shortages, which are common. So you walk in a grocery store in Venezuela, maybe in the United States too, and you start scanning the aisles to see if something's there. Over 6 million people left Venezuela because of everything that was happening. I, I know a lot of people that have left the United States. The internet is slow, the infrastructure is poor, and it kind of sounds like, man, it kind of sounds like the United States. Then there's this government instability in Venezuela. It's been ongoing for more than 30 years, affecting every aspect of life in the country. They have widespread corruption among authorities. Oh, is this starting to sound familiar? Is this starting to sound familiar? Then transportation in Venezuela is just bad. It's estimated only a third of the roads in the country are paved. The bridges are in terrible shape. 80% of the public transportation in the country, including buses and trains, were not even working in 2000. And then the other thing is hospitals aren't even accessible or safe. The hospital's not safe. Have we had some crimes in the United States where actually there has been some crimes perpetrated inside the hospitals? This sounds so familiar. It sounds like we're repeating exactly what happened to Venezuela right here in the United States. But when the lights go out and it's completely dark, that is when you're going to see the true colors of people. That's when people are going to come for each of us to our homes. And that's the truth, folks. And really, if you really think about this, the lineup that I posted on the community page is we're exactly in line with what happened in Venezuela. We're exactly in line with what is going to occur in this country. We have corruption from the federal government down to the state governments to the police. I'm not saying all first responders are bad, don't get me wrong. But we are seeing the exact repeat playbook that happened in Venezuela happen in the United States. So what will be the next move in the United States? Power? Infrastructures? Ah, it's already happened. It's already happening. See, it really, really frustrates me when people say, well, it's not going to happen in rural America. It's not happening in my neighborhood. And see, I think what's really going to happen is that Americans are not going to get up off their duffs until it's right in their face, until somebody's knocking at their door, wanting to come in and take their life, their family's life, their stuff, their items, burning their car up, burning their home out. That's when people in the United States are going to say, oh, now it really is happening. These preppers aren't as crazy as I thought they were. We had a really good live last night, and I read back through the comments, and I agree with you so much, so many of you that have seen a dramatic experience. And really, honestly, people running around acting like Billy Badass when civil war breaks out in this country and people keep saying, I want it to happen, I want it to happen. I'll tell you what, you're going to say, gosh, dear God, I wish it wouldn't have happened. When we see our country that's already in shambles from coast to coast in total disruption, when you can't go get that loaf of bread, when you can't go get a gallon of gas, you best hope that you have taken something from these prepping channels, these homesteading channels that actually has given you the skills. Because when your preps run out, then what do you do? Then what do you do? You're going to rely 120% on the skills that you've learned. So, yep, the preppers are crazy. Maybe we're just ahead of our time. Maybe we are looking in the other directions as they're trying to fearmonger us to look at the current propaganda. So many times, like I look at these things and I go, whoa, it's like we're repeating history over and over and over again. The playbook is out there. It's absolutely crazy. And it's being repeated over and over again. Except this time, it's not going to be like WW2. It's not going to be like the Great Depression. Why? Because of technology, because of tracers, because of GPS. That is going to be the big difference. Because of technology and the drones. And I pray too, Jessica, that it'll never ever happen. But folks, it's already happening. See, it's not affecting all of us. It's only affecting little sectors. So people don't take it as serious. People keep on moving with their lives. But when it's in your face, when you see your child starve, when you see your neighbor shot, when you see somebody robbed, when you see somebody knocking at your door that's not there for anything but destruction, that is when people will take it serious. That is when people are going to know that it is not a joke any longer. And I think that so many times, yep, yep, and I agree with you. Yep, and I think the thing is, Susan, I agree with you. You know, when you're a first responder, you're in the military, you've been in a war setting, you've been in, a riot. Like I lived in Los Angeles during the Rodney King riots, and I learned a lot from that. I learned how quickly the herd mentality will take over people. And honestly, when it's lights out, when it's dark in the United States, that's when you see people's real colors. When we were sitting on the balconies in 1992 during the Rodney King riots in Los Angeles with shotguns, that's when I knew it was real. I had been watching it on TV for a month, the whole trial, the whole thing. But when it was right there, so close to my apartment where I lived in Los Angeles, that's when you go, wow, there's no escaping this. And that's like the really important thing. And I agree, Ron. A lot of people will not wake up until it's too late. But the other thing is a lot of people will just run with the masses. And see, that's going to cause homesteaders and preppers a lot of problems because they're going to come in and they're going to want to take, oh, well, they have chickens. Let's take the chickens. They have guns, they have cars, they have whatever. And that's when it's going to be head to head and it's going to be survival of the not only the fittest, right? People always say survival of the fittest. It's going to be survival of the brain, of the person that can outwit the group and be prepared. And that's why I always say that it's very, very important to have that plan A, B, and C in motion. So many, you're right, Tamara. So many people have their heads buried down in the sand because why? They don't want to admit that this country is crumbling. They don't want to admit that their child may be doing wrong. They don't want to admit that they may be part of the problem. See, until we all come together as Americans, we all come together as good people. Doesn't matter, and I'm going to say this tonight too. It does not matter if you're Republican, a Democrat, or a Libertarian. What matters is that you're an American. What matters is that you're a decent person. And until we can all come together as decent people and put the political party bullshit aside, we are stuck in a whirlwind of shit. We're going to be stuck in a whirlwind of shit. Myself and Dragonflies probably for close to a year have been sleeping in shifts that I can reach right now with my left hand or my right hand to grab whatever to protect me and my family. And that's when you know that you're living in the new America. My mother never locked her doors up until about 5 years ago. And I told her, Mom, it's not the old America anymore. Lock your door. And it took a lot for her to get into that habit. Right now is the time for each and every one of us to look around our homes, look around our neighborhoods, and really start preparing now because it's not going to get better. And I definitely believe in God, but I also believe that God didn't put us here to be lazy. And also, when it comes down to it, we have read on Sunday mornings about war. If the person walks away, you don't pap them in the back because that's what is biblical. You let them go, even though that sounds scary. That's biblical. When this whirlwind stops, folks, it's going to be something better. But right now, it's just getting geared up. And the thing is people still aren't believing it because, like I said, it's happening in little segments across the country. Oh, well, there was a power outage. Oh, there was a train derailment in this area. Now, if you put all those things together in a 24-hour period, maybe people would realize this is some serious things that are going on. But see, that's how you spoon feed fear to people around the United States. Oh, it happened in my area. Oh, crap, I'm scared. And then something else happened. Oh, and then, oh, okay, everything's calm and everything's fine. Really, really important, folks, to keep on doing the legwork. And the most important thing is to learn the skills. Because just like the story I was reading from Venezuela, when the lights go out, when it all falls, and there's no going back, you have to realize that the situation is going to affect our hospitals, our power grid, most of our vehicles won't work. Our communications will be down. And I want to say this, in a 5-day period in Venezuela, when they had their first 5-day blackout, 26 people had died in the hospital because of the power outage. That's not including the murders, the robberies, and the rapes and the other crimes that happen. So imagine what will truly happen when it all goes black. They lost that 5-day power nationwide. Can you imagine in the United States if the power goes out nationwide? And maybe that's what it's going to take for the United States to wake up, for people to wake up and to quit burying their head. And it's sad to say, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. But, since that time, Venezuela has been plagued with power outages, starting to really sound familiar. And you also got to remember about the food. The food system is going to be totally screwed up. And the situation, seems almost apocalyptic in a country that until a few years before that was one of the richest in South America. It had the largest proven oil reserves in the world. And the Venezuela government blames sabotage and terrorists for the blackouts. Does this sound familiar? But when those black sky events happen and the storms bring down the power lines, and that you can't have power and you lose all your food, that is when you're going to see something else. The power cut in Venezuela was brought up, they're saying, from corruption with inside the government. In June of 2019, almost all of Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay were hit by a power outage that left nearly 40 million people without electricity. And the worst part is it was during a hot, hot season. Also, they had poor investment and neglect of the country's power grid. Does this sound familiar? So the government did blame sabotage and terrorists for the blackouts, but the people said it was the Venezuelan government. Then another thing happened. Uh, I think it was in the UK. A million people in the UK were left without power. And you got to think about this, trapping commuters on trains, right? And then when the lightning happened, because of all these power outages, there was a gas-fired power plant and an offshore wind farm that shut down simultaneous. So that is a very interesting thing that happened over there too. And the growing demand on the electricity supplies from the rising population and new technology, exactly like electric cars. So, when the lights go out and the lights aren't working, the least of your worries will be the lights. Your worries are going to be what's in the dark. What's in the dark, who's coming, and why. And how are you going to protect you and your family against that? And that's really what's going to be the big determining factor is when the lights go out and it's completely black across the United States. What's going to be in the night? Who's going to be in the night? What gangs are going to be in the night? And are they going to come to your home? And the interesting thing is, if you go to the community page and you look at what happened in Venezuela to what's happening in the United States, I'll read it to you real quick. It's very, very interesting. That's why I posted it. Um, when it all started, and let's kind of look at the timeline. In 1992, Venezuela became the third richest country in the hemisphere. In 1992, 7 became the second largest producer and purchasers of F-150s. In 2001, it voted for socialist president, income equality. And in 2004, private health care is completely socialized. Then in 2007, look, think about this. In 2007, 3 years later, all higher education became free. Student debt erasure. Didn't that just happen in the United States? It did. Then in 2009, just a few years later, they banned private ownership of guns. Mm. Then we actually had in 2012 good old Bernie Sanders who praised their American dream. In 2014, opposition leaders were imprisoned. Where are we at here? This really sounds like a total repeat. Then the food and healthcare shortage became widespread just 2 years later in 2016. In 2017, the Constitution and elections are suspended in Venezuela. In 2019, unarmed citizens by their own government. So it took one generation of progressive leadership to plunge this country into civil war. So it started in 1992, and by 2019, Venezuela is where it's at today. It's very interesting when you step back and you put what's happening in the United States next to what happened in Venezuela. Does this sound familiar? Hit a 1 in the chat if this sounds very familiar. And when you break it down, when you really break it down, it's because of the Great Reset, the Agenda 2030, the young world global leaders. See, they're all in this together. They've all been programmed of what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. And so they continue beating us down. Like I said 2.5 years ago, that they were going to tear us down at our core. What was the thing that happened last year at 4th of July? Who in the chat knows what happened at 4th of July? 4th of July is a day of celebration in this country. Red, white, and blue, proud Americans, barbecues, fireworks. And what happened and what was put on every media station around this country? There was a shooting at a 4th of July parade. See, they have to tear us down to the core. They have to get us fighting, being divided, hating each other because of our religions, because of our political parties, because of our color. Because the more they can do this, the more they can fearmonger, and the more they can separate and divide us. And the more they divide us, the quicker we're going to fall. See, they don't have to come in with blazing guns, throwing hand grenades, not like in World War II, because they've set the wheels in motion and we all are falling prey for it. We're falling right into exactly what they want. And now we have the new CBDC coming in. We have, oh, let us help you control your money. It's coming, folks. If you like it or not, it's here in the United States. It's in Germany. It's in France. It's in Australia. And good people are standing up around the world. But when will the United States learn a lesson and stand up before it's too late? Something really to think about. I've been deep in thought. I guess you all can tell the last week or two. I've been really deep in thought about preparedness. See, preparedness is really a journey. We're all on this journey to break loose of the chains that this government, the overreach, has put on us. We're sick of it. See, I would much rather be sitting here on my homestead, pay off my little cabin, and enjoy my life than to deal with their nonsense. But the thing is we really can't change what they're doing. The only thing we can do is change how we are, who we are, and how we react to stuff. If you're going to run from channel to channel and act like you're Billy Badass, have fun. Because you probably won't have a mag, you probably won't have the skills, and you won't probably have the ability to stand or to make it more than a couple days. Because you're a smartass and you're lying to yourself. Honestly, until the day we all look in the mirror and say, you know what? Today, I'm going to be different. Because we want everybody to prep. We want everybody to prepare. We want everybody to homestead. Because the more they do, the less they'll want to take from us. We want limited government. If you've never heard of the Heritage Foundation, it is a great, great organization to fight in DC for conservative policy. There is a right way and a wrong way to do things. And folks, we have to come together as people. Look into the Heritage Foundation because they're doing great work and we have to keep moving forward. We have to. Yep, it takes for good men to do nothing, for evil to flourish. And you're right, Rick. And the thing is there is strength in numbers, Ron. You're right. But the main thing is that, it's not all about going out and kicking ass. Okay? Listen to me. Sometimes it's about going with the flow. Sometimes it's about stepping back and going and getting active in your kid's school instead of sending your kid to school every day, or if they come home from school and everybody sits around the dinner table on this instead of having an open conversation. Because see, the radical ideology that's happening in the schools right now and the violence that's happening in the schools, trust me, it's going to trickle into your home if you aren't actively involved. Maybe it's time for some of us to go run for political offices, for government offices on a local, county, city, state level, because that's how change happens. The old needs to go. The swamp really needs to get drained of a lot of politicians on both sides. We need new blood. We need new people that truly believe in the foundation of this country. And we need to get back to our roots. And our roots of this country is that we're a melting pot. But there's also a right way and a wrong way to come here. And that, there's some things going on with that right now that I got to take to OTWP TV because I'll probably get out. A strike. Wow. Wow. 50,000 new Canadians. It makes you wonder where all these people are coming from. It makes you wonder what their intentions are, especially the ones, and honestly, so many coming across the southern border. And I have no problem, y'all know this, in no way, shape, or form, Am I against any nationality? I believe that the United States is a melting pot of religion, culture, and that's what makes it so wonderful. But there also comes a time when we have to look around and say, what the hell is going on here? You look at the inner cities and they're like, it's like a cesspool of drugs. Who has done that to the cities? I lived in many cities. I lived in Chicago. I didn't live in Chicago. I went to Chicago a lot. I lived in Los Angeles. I lived in San Diego. I lived in Dallas and I lived in Denver. And I loved the city atmosphere. And I lived in Mobile, Alabama. But I loved the city atmosphere because you could go from neighborhood to neighborhood and enrich yourself in their culture. And I loved it. But now in a lot of cities, people don't even want to go there because of the fentanyl problem and the trunk problem and the other things that are happening. And it is really something as we see the country that we love and know just falling apart. It's just falling apart, folks. And the whirlwind of shit's not going to stop. You're right, Dusty. That's why I put your thing up there. We do need to stand together, but we need to stand together for the right reasons, right? Not that you're a Democrat or you're a Republican, or you live in a red state or a blue state. Screw all that. Let's have let's have, uh, I don't know, orange states. Let's make the whole United States orange. You know, let's do something new because the old shit is not working. It's not working. You look at number 45 and number 46 and number 44, and they're all corrupt as hell. I mean, who really believes that there is a big difference between the Republicans and the Democrats? See, it's more of the elite against the middle class and the poor. As we carry the burden, the tax burden, as our nieces and nephews and our grandkids and our daughters and sons pay for a lifetime of them frivolously spending. I'll tell you right now, how many of you in the chat could just go out and write a check for $350,000 and know you don't have it to write? You would go to jail. You'd be thrown under the jail. But it's okay when it comes to the government. There is no balance in checks anymore. It's totally fallen. It's done. The dominoes have all fallen. I dare any of you to go write a check for $350,000 in cash and see what happens to you when you don't have the money to back it up. Exactly, Ron. That's a great way to put it. Total insanity. And the bad thing is that all of us keep feeding the system, the beast, feeding the monster. And where do we go? And what do we do? Maybe start our own communities and our own states that have really decent, down to earth things. I hope that each and every one of you keeps putting your boots on the ground, that you keep prepping, because the prepping part is good. The items are good, but the skills are going to get you through. And that's really, really important. This next week, after we come back from our trip, we have one more live Wednesday night, and we're going to dive deep down into this cesspool of bullshit. But Western Union and the horseback, but it's really important. And when I come back in May, after this trip, you'll see me because we're going to do some videotaping on the road of some fun stuff. But when I come back, be prepared, be ready, because I'm going to bring demo after demo after demo. We're going to get that buffet of MREs, and we're going to really have a taste test. And I'm going to tell you, honest to God truth, if they taste like total shit or if they taste good. I've ate some good ones. Uh, My Patriot Supply, which we are an affiliate of, I like them. Some of them are too salty, some of them are too dry. You know, there's different things about each one, including Augustin Farms, all different ones. But I think the thing is, folks, what scares you is being out in the open during chores. Oh, yeah, and you'll need more than two eyes. You'll definitely need more than two eyes. But you hope they bring back the Pony Express. You don't have a horse? Kentucky. Oh, you hope they don't. Well, you better go get you a horse, man. You didn't like the biscuits and gravy one. And see, there's so many different kinds, Betsy, and that's why I'm gonna put four different brands next to each other with pretty much the same similar meal. And then I can kind of tell y'all like this one tastes way better based on whatever. And we're hi. Oh, Dragonfly said she's down for a buffet, y'all. So I really appreciate everybody being here tonight. I hope that you think about the scenarios and how similar Venezuela is to the United States and what's happening, because it really is here. And the thing is don't be one of those people go, okay, well, I'm going to slow down prepping because nothing's going on in Kentucky or nothing's going on in Missouri. Everything's fine. Because if you're doing that, you're cutting yourself short. And nobody, none of us have the right to, like, if you really want to be a prepper, if you really think you're a prepper, don't stop. It's a way of life. It is truly me and Dragonflies kind of have that motto here in our house. Being a true prepper is not about I went and bought the latest cell phone. I went and bought the latest Berkey. I went and bought this. That's not really prepping. That's just buying gadgets and bullshit. What and there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with buying those gadgets and doodads and having stuff. But really, when it really boils down to it, there's a lot that goes into being a prepared individual, family, man, woman, child. And it is a way of life. Like every single day, there should be something on your to do list. And it doesn't have to be some big, huge, giant thing. It could be the smallest thing ever, right? It could be going and buying 4 cans of chicken. It could be going out and learning how to identify different kinds of trees and what those trees will provide you. We're really excited because we have just a freaking massive amount of dandelions this year. So we're going to be making dandelion salad, dandelion soup, dandelion jams and jellies, and we're going to be eating the dandelion from the root to the top. And so that's Bethy, you're going to like that. I'm going to be doing a little cooking class on let's eat dandelions, right? So that'd be kind of cool. Yeah, yeah, that's a good point, Rick. And that, but there's so many things when it comes to home safety. Start setting up the layers, just like I have the layers out in the forest. They're there. It would take me all of about 20 minutes to set them up, and I showed him when we were at Off the Wall Prepper. But the thing is it's really good to have those layers set up and in place and ready to roll if you need them. Yes, yes, Vanning with Ada. There is a lot of mushrooms right now. There's a lot of morels. There's these big flat top ones. I don't know what they are. I am very careful about mushrooms because I smoke enough pine needles. I don't need to eat the wrong mushroom, right? So so I am excited to find out more about mushrooms because I love morels. Morels are really, really tasty. I hope that each and every one of you keeps coming back to the channel, that you hit the thumbs up, that you comment on the videos, because I do this for you guys. I could go off of YouTube and be perfectly happy, but I've made some really good connections and some really good friends here on YouTube. And I consider you all part of the OTWP mag. I really consider us a little different than your average channel. Um, I am throwing out some big prepper hugs to each and every one of you. I hope that you keep praying, prepping, and being safe. I hope that you implement the buddy system, things that you need to do, right? And I really appreciate all of my members here tonight. I really appreciate it. But I also appreciate you just being you. I appreciate you doing the things, doing the dang thing. I hope we got flowers on peach and apple trees. Woohoo, that's a good thing. So I'm sending y'all big prepper hugs. At this time, you all know how we do it at the OTWP. If you've never been here before, we welcome you to the chat. Don't be scared. You can come in and you can chat. We're pretty friendly. But at the OTWP, we do things our way, and we're going to take it out right now. I'll see you all Wednesday night. Do we have a live tomorrow morning, or do I have? I don't know if I set it up. If I get 20 thumbs up in the chat right now, we will have a live tomorrow morning. We'll have coffee and down to earth prepping with OTWP. And go if you want. If you want a show tomorrow morning, I got to see 21s. So rock it if you want it. Because I didn't set it up. I set it up for Wednesday night. So anybody that wants to come to coffee in the morning, let's see some ones. If you're going to be here, I'll have a show. If you're not, well, then screw it. There's some ones. What time in the morning? Well, my new wake up time is about 7:30. So if you want to have a live tomorrow morning, let's hit 20 times 121. Okay, you guys are smart Alec Beth D and Kentucky Survival. You on this? All right, awesome. Okay, I'll post it in a little bit. Hit the thumbs up. Get it, Vanning with Ada. Get them. Sick them, Vanning with Ada. Get their asses. What time is it OTWP right now? It is 8:15 here in the Ozarks. 8:15 Central Time. 8:15. So we'll have it about. I'll probably start at about 7 in the morning and go till about 8:30 because I have to. I do have to work tomorrow, but I'd like to hang out and have coffee in the morning. We really had fun doing it, so I miss those lives in the morning. I really do. But soon, when I come back after this trip, then we'll start yeah, Rick. I was getting up at like 5:30, but I've been like really enjoying the nights with Dragonflies. We've been staying up and having great conversations, talking about prepping, talking about goals on the homestead, and things that we need to talk about, Rick. But anyway, y'all, I'm gonna I'll post it. I'll see y'all in the morning for coffee. But let's go ahead and take it on out the OTWP way, and please hit the thumbs up. Thank you for being here. God bless y'all from our little piece of heaven in the Ozarks to wherever you're at in this big world. Do the dang thing. Do it on a daily basis. Because when the lights go out, it'll be too late to get your shit in order. Oh, you got it, Tamara. Dang. I don't got no dang mushroom powder. Maybe Dragonflies does. I'll have to check. Okay, we have mushroom powder. I don't know what the hell it's for, but we got mushroom powder. All right. God bless y'all from here in the Ozarks to wherever you're at. And here comes our new OTWP TV dancers. Oh, no, we're at Off the Wall. What are we at? We're off the wall prepping right now. Make sure that you subscribe to OTWP Underground on Telegram and on Rumble, because in May we're going to have a live once a week so we can just let it rip at Rumble. So I'm looking forward to that. And also Telegram, we post a lot of stuff. So I will see you all in the morning for coffee. But let's take it out with the OTWP dancers. And we have new ones coming up in May. So I've been working on a lot of stuff. So no magic mushrooms. I ain't eating those magic mushrooms. No, I'm not. All right, here we go, y'all. God bless you. And let's bring on the OTWP dancers.
couple nights at the flat. To be real, couldn't see me making moves while I'm at. I'm still on the grind, limit time when I chat. Burning down sage, keep the demons away. When I write it, give a piece of myself to the page. I don't do it for the praise, love, that's just how I'm made.
Truth in the glass in the mirror.
Yeah.
Threw it at me, old man, tryna pass in the fear. You're the first one to talk, but the last one to hear. Eyes blurry, but I couldn't see the ass, and he cleared down. Start to feel like I'm on one. Settle in, I'll be here for the long run. I'm a slave for the cash, got snakes in the grass, no brakes on the ad, but it's all fun. We done seen it all, heard it all. Heard enough, give me space before I murder y'all. 10 bad bitches here, I'ma curb them all. 12 missed calls, and I still made a curtain call. Here to light it up, lighten up. Hear him talking, they ain't right enough, tighten up. Everything that I came for, I left with. I don't bang sets, I just bang on the set list. Going past supper when I came for the breakfast. Put me in your prayers, I might put you on the guest list. Young niggas in the reckless. Gold in my soul, got the same on my necklace, bitch.